Hello everyone, I am Uzbek from FinEcon, and today we are having our next episode, and we are still focusing on the Japanese market and interviewing, successful Uzbek people in finance industry, economics. And last time we had talk with interviewed by Safina, and today I'm going to be the person who's going to take the interview. Hope you guys find this useful. And today's guest is Ryosuke Gapov, who's currently principal at Rocket Now company in Japan, located in actually city Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. And before that, he worked as senior financial analyst at Amazon company and also Bitcoin.com. Even he worked in Uzbekistan too. So today we talk basically his background and his career progression, and also his education in Japan, and maybe how it feels like living in Japan, because not many people have been to Japan actually, especially from Uzbekistan. And so, hello, Ryosuke again. Happy to have you here. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me, Uzbek. And then, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad, and excited to share my journey. And then I hope, it will be helpful for someone, who is just starting, or overall, maybe they are in the middle of their career who wants to step up. I'm happy to be here.
So basically, our people who's going to listen, maybe right now or maybe on the YouTube channel, when we do survey, these people are usually university students, third year or first year, and also those who just started their career in finance. Hope they also find this conversation useful. So to get started, can you please introduce yourself and your career journey, how it was and where you started? That would be great warm up. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Again, thanks again. I can start from the start, maybe, since I think it would be useful for the, maybe graduates or the students, or maybe whoever wants to kind of step up. So I also, I started my career in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. So once I graduated my undergrad from the, we call, I think, tattoo, right now, maybe it could be called differently. So from there, I actually joined the company called, GKD, Global Comsco Devo. It was a Korean company. So I joined straight from my university and as a financial analyst, and I was just lucky maybe to have, to have that kind of a company from the start, because it really kind of gave me a great exposure, what the finance could be and what's the role of the FP&A or finance partnership overall. So, excuse me. So from there, how I got there, basically, I think most of you might have it, the learning maybe right now. I studied the certification called a CAP, a Certified Accounting Practitioner, and that actually helped me a lot to kind of get an interview, and after that, have the ace in the interview and win the competition, basically. And plus maybe some language skills, of course, it helped, because since it was an international company, the English and Russian language also was required. So I was I was one of the candidates who could do that, as well as do the job. So once I worked there for 2 years, mostly just reporting to the HQ in the South Korea, and mostly just financials of Uzbekistan entity. And I just realized that while I was working there, I realized maybe being in Uzbekistan and like just having kind of a that kind of experience, I thought since at that time like just I was studying like just English like overall, and plus like just reading some like English like materials in the finance, and I thought like just I think I could explore more, like just I could explore kind of a different kind of exposure. Especially, I needed maybe more international experience rather than just being in there. Of course, that company was great, but I think there they were just only kind of focused on the production. So I really wanted kind of to have a different kind of exposure. And since then, like just I kind of thought myself like I think I need to learn. I still have to learn more, and just have to kind of try to have a different kind of international like exposure. And I knew that I was good at like just math, and I was good at like just maybe English, but I really wanted kind of to learn the like just finance and financial. Being the finance partner, true partner, like just overall. And in order to do that, I thought maybe I need to apply for the MBA. And so that's why I started applying for the different kind of countries, like just the UK, the United States, Japan, Australia. And I got the best, basically, offer, like just a scholarship offer from Japan. And plus, like just I already had my like just friends who are studying in Japan. So I thought like just maybe I need to go to there, and I will be kind of close to my friends, as well as like I'll study my MBA. So I came here to Japan, and then I actually was like a surprised that how great the overall kind of a Japanese culture are. Because at the beginning, it was just my first exposure to the different like international country, and I was never being kind of out from Uzbekistan at that time. So at the coming here, like just I always pictured like a maybe Japanese, like just always kind of a different, but they actually exceeded my expectations, like from the perspective of like being very friendly to the like foreigners, being nice, and like just all the streets and all the kind of infrastructure, the cities, it's so clean, and it's like amazingly like just easy to live, if you could say. And then, so I came here, I came to Japan, and then like just I started kind of MBA. And while doing my MBA, actually, one good thing is actually you should always kind of try to, I think, try to kind of ace your subjects. So I tried to kind of get and learn like just a different kind of subjects. And the study and the overall kind of curriculum was totally different than the, like just from Uzbekistan, basically. So then, because there was a lot of case studies, there was a lot of like applied kind of examinations. So it was always kind of interesting. And then like just since I was kind of like just doing I was a kind of good student, so I got the most of the kind of A's, especially in my first year. And I also kind of like recommend to everyone, if you study kind of well and hard like enough in your MBA, like just especially in your first years, like just try to apply kind of different kind of scholarships if possible. I mean, try to get a kind of different kind of scholarships, whether it's in Japan or whether it's a different country. And I applied for the different kind of scholarships at that time. And like just luckily, again, like just I won like just the Otsuka Toshimi scholarship. It was a kind of a great scholarship for like just around like just a 2 million, which is around $20,000 at that time. So it helped me to focus on my career. And then once after graduation, my MBA, I like just directly joined to the KPMG. And the then like just the competition again, like just in order to kind of how to prepare yourself, especially in this world. At that time, like just there was no AI, there was no any kind of preparation, like just tools, right? Like you always have to kind of believe in yourself, try to kind of have your own ability to impress the interviewer. You should always kind of have the edge, like just versus your kind of competitors. So for that reason, like just I kind of try to have always like just first of all language, like just learning the Japanese language was very important, and the second of all the different kind of certifications and different kind of like just applied like just the certifications basically. For example, FMVA, like just financial modeling, valuation analyst, and etc. And so I kind of joined there, and then like just since then, like just I kind of moved on. I think like just to different kind of companies, like such as for example the SoftBank's Oyo Hotel. Like just it was a SoftBank backed like a startup, and then like just I went to the like a Bitcoin.com crypto kind of a blockchain company. And then like just my recent like just company was the Amazon. Like just I was maybe I could touch later on like just how to be more on the kind of interviews. And also the my latest company is actually the coupons, like just the Rocket Now, which is kind of a food delivery app in Japan. Like we are kind of competing against the like giants like Uber Eats and FinEcon and like just Wolt. I of course like just I never wanted to kind of leave Amazon, but I had an offer that I couldn't refuse, basically, with the kind of a good stake in the company, and there was a great team. So that's why kind of I accepted, and I'm just excited for the next journey. Maybe it's kind of a little bit too long, kind of a beginning to warm up, but I think we can go on with the kind of a different questions maybe, and to touch point on the kind of more details.
Yeah, thank you for the great introduction. That's actually more than I expected in terms of progression and basically this journey. It seems interesting for me too, as someone living abroad. And so you mentioned that if you go back in time, if you mentioned that you started your bachelor at, which is Tatu in Uzbek, and in English, I think it's Tashkent University of Information Technologies. And
Yeah.
what actually you decided to pursue economics degree compared to maybe IT or other degrees at that time? And why exactly that university?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think like just it's always a kind of about the exposure that's while you're in your childhood, what you will get. Like, for example, in my case, my father, like just he was an architect. I think there is nothing to do with like information technologies, right? And but my father was really good at like just math, and then because like he was really good at math and geometry, and I still remember like just when I was like 5 years old, like before even going to the school, he was kind of trying to teach me the math, like just the basics of the math basically. And it was I still remember, it was very, I think, crucial, like important in my like just next journey, because I think since then I wasn't like just really good at just right away at the beginning with the math, but it gave me this kind of a confidence, or like a self-confidence, like self-belief that I can do that, like I can be better at that. So that's why in my school years, in my like lyceum or in my university later on, like I was always kind of a good at math. So that was kind of a one point. And then like like just in terms of like information technologies, like when I was actually just maybe like around like 10, 15 years old, my like uncle, he had a shop, like just a computer shop, like just he had a computer shop himself, like just selling the computers and or just providing some services to kind of fix the computers. And that shop was actually, at the beginning it was just a small shop, but later on, like just he hired so many people and it got so big. Like, and I always kind of used to go there maybe at the beginning just to play games maybe. But later on, I also kind of got interested myself, and from my uncle, actually, I learned how to code the, which is at that time, like just with C# and with the kind of very, very basics. And I was kind of fascinated how those kind of algorithm like just works and like just in real time. So, and plus like this kind of a problem solving was always kind of interesting to me. So that's why kind of in order to kind of have myself like in the exposure to that kind of area, I thought like just having the information kind of technologies would be a better fit, like just for the future as well. And it would be kind of it would give, I think, the perfect sense maybe in the future. So from that perspective, I think like I kind of applied and I got the, I just get in, and then I think it just since then it was on. Yeah. And on that specific to the economics, like since like just like I like in that shop, I realized like if you know the skills, if you know the, for example, algorithm or IT or any kind of skills, the main thing is actually the sales. Main thing is the sales. Main thing is just the money, or main thing kind of finances. Because if you cannot monetize what you have, or if you cannot monetize your skill set or your overall kind of whatever you are good at, like just then nothing matters, because it would be kind of it couldn't create a value. So you have to know how those, what is the impact, what you are doing, it's actually kind of creating or monetization to the world, right? So from that perspective, I always thought like just maybe having this kind of ability to drive like just financially or strategic decisions and influencing the kind of without the authority to the like just overall kind of P&L and overall kind of finances, I think would make a perfect sense. So from that perspective, I thought like just the economics is, I think, would be a kind of a good synergy for my maybe like just overall kind of a skill set, overall kind of my mentality and personality. So that's why I just have chosen the economics.
Yeah, and maybe we may need to make one point clear. You mentioned that one of the main decisions pursuing economics or finance was the fact that you were good at math. And at this point, maybe some people may lose their motivation because they have already chosen finance or economics, but they may not be talented when it comes to math or numbers. So do you think math is a prerequisite or requirement to be successful in finance career?
I would say yes and no, like just in both cases. Like, especially if you asked me maybe 10 years ago, I would say yes, it's a must, and you have to know it, like just in order to kind of have a better value to the world, so that you can kind of ace in your like just career. But right now, since the AI is, I think like just progressing so fast, and I think right now it's not as important as before, because there is a reason. There is a reason is actually right now you just have to know the like just how overall kind of a finance works, or how overall kind of a structure your basically mental model should be like that. That's, you should know like just who are the stakeholders, and what is your actions is actually interconnected with like just your overall product. if you know that, like just if you know the business, if you have a business acumen, if you are kind of a savvy enough as an entrepreneur, or is a kind of a overall kind of a have a great skill set in terms of like just socializing with people, or having the right partners, or having the always kind of a choosing the right words to convince someone, I think you might not need the mass too much, because like just you can ask actually AI, and you can basically have work with the AI, not just with Excel. Actually, like just you can basically use the AI to help you. Like for example, extracting the data from different data sources and basically translating those like all of those like a data into the insights, and basically communicating those insights to your stakeholders, whether it's a product, marketing, or CFO, or like just any other, like just your partners. And if you can do that, yeah, of course, like just you might not need a mass. So yeah, from that perspective, I think it could be kind of a two different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for clarification. And so basically, so you are saying that if you are good at, let's say, another part of finance, which is maybe understanding the stakeholders, you may not need to be, I mean, you don't have to be good at math, right? That's what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
And regarding your first job, you mentioned, I feel like this first, maybe the last job you have in maybe in Uzbekistan, but I'm not sure yet. But as a first
No,
job,
that is true. That is true. That was my first job, but it wasn't my last job, I would say, because of course, maybe in the LinkedIn, like just I didn't put like the projects I worked on, but actually, like just from time to time, I still get the kind of projects, like just a standalone, like maybe ad hoc one-time projects that I will help, for example, the companies to come up with their like a financial modeling. For example, if they are struggling with like just to organize their overall data and just having the right insight based on their data, I'll help them to build their financial model. For example, like just I help to the kind of a solar, like just a solar panel kind of installation companies, and as well as the like construction companies. One of my clients was actually the I think like just everybody like just everyone knows right now this like Honsaroy, like just in Tashkent, like just they like at the beginning early stages, I think they had kind of a different kind of a data sets. So they wanted to have a financial model so that they can see what is their cash flow, what is their forecast, and what is the basically unique economics of their, like for example, condos or of their like apartments. So I built them, and I built the kind of a one-time like just a financial model, and just basically I just handed over to their financial analysts, and from there I think like just I moved on. So this kind of a one-time ad hoc projects, I would say I usually have from time to time. But yeah, from the perspective of first job, yes, it was my first job, the Global Comms Hotel. Yeah.
yeah. So I would like to ask a follow-up question about your first job. You mentioned that
Yeah.
you got that job because of your certification, which is SAP. I think it's Certified Accounting Practitioner. And also, I haven't heard much about the certification. Can you tell us about the certification and how it is different maybe than ACCA or CFA certifications, and also how it really helped you to get a job when you graduated from Tashkent University of Information
Yeah.
Technologies?
Sure. I think I would say like just this kind of certifications overall, it is quite useful if you are first finding a job. Like just I think you still need that kind of a certifications to certify to your employer, like that you can do that, right? Like just you can work basically, because maybe later on in your like just later stage of career, like just in your mid career, like just when you are becoming maybe finance manager or like just a director, actually you might not need like just exactly because your experience will be more important, and your like just activities and experiences will I think will say more of the things. But in your early stage, like especially right after graduation, you might need this kind of certification. So whoever who are right now is actually pursuing the new career, I would recommend to study the kind of certifications if possible, in order to kind of get a grasp what the finance could be, like just what the finance could be, what are the practical cases, what are the kind of a problem solving kind of a different kind of scenarios with the real world data within the companies, right? But in my case, CAP, like just at that time, was one of the kind of a go-to certification at that time for finance people. I think we never, in my time, like just 2009, 2010, we never had, maybe we had, but I haven't like heard at that time this ACCA. But at that time, basically, CAP was the kind of a go-to certification. And what it does, basically, it has a financial accounting, managerial accounting, it has a legal and tax. It's a component of 4. And I think they still have it. It's just, maybe it's not in the English, but it was in like just Uzbek and Russian language. And I think this is, I think certified accounting practitioner, it's more like a Central Asian, like just not Central Asian, but I would say like just how you call, like Russia, Ukraine, and like just all of those like the countries included. So from that perspective, yes, it was very helpful because I learned how to use, like just for example, accounting knowledge or financial knowledge in the real cases. With the real cases, like just we had the real kind of time, for example, how to come up with the balance sheet, how to come up with the like P&L, how to come up with this like just a forecast, for example, cash flow, or forecast your P&L for the future. So that kind of things, like just it was very like just it will be very, very helpful, like just if you are actually learning. For example, if you're learning the theory from the university, you have to apply it from somewhere, and you cannot apply it to the job, because if you cannot get a job, for example, if you have just a theory in your mind, I think it would be real difficult to convince the interviewer, just with the real time kind of cases. So from that perspective, I think it really helped, like to get a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we can conclude this suggestion as, if we are pursuing our first job after graduation, or we are pursuing maybe first internship during our undergrad, maybe master's, so we may need to pursue some certifications such as CAP, or it can be ACCA, based on the domain inside the finance industry. And when we talk about
just to add to that, like for example, when I came to Japan, right, and when I graduated my my school here at MBA, I actually at the beginning I was struggling just to get a job, because I was struggling to convince the companies, I applied probably at least 100 companies before landing to the KPMG. Like, it wasn't just a one-time application and just get a job, right? So how it happened is basically, at that time, I learned this FMVA, financial modeling and the valuation analyst. It is just a very easy to get a kind of certification. It's just, maybe it costs around $500. But what it will help you is, actually it will give you a practical knowledge. Like I have never worked in the like international companies or in Japan, and I have never seen the kind of cases or different kind of what could be the problems and what could be the solutions, right? So while I was learning the FMVA, so I actually like I got the chance to see different kind of cases. For example, I got the case like just having like building the financial model from the scratch for the companies like Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft at that time, and forecasting their P&L for the 5 years, 10 years, and learning kind of those knowledge and practical knowledge with the Excel, with like just learning the SQL to extract the data, and like just basically kind of cleaning up the data in the Excel and building the all the financials like P&L, cash flow, balance sheet, like just in the Excel with different kind of scenarios, with different kind of assumptions in the Excel, right? So that practical knowledge helped me, for example, showing this visualization in the end, the insights or summaries, helped me kind of to understand the business acumen. Once I got that insight, actually it got a little bit better and easier to whenever I was applying to the new companies, I was actually kind of showing what I learned actually at the MBA and in my kind of practical job, that what I can do for them, what I can bring in the table for them, right? What I can create the value for them. So from that point, I think it got a little bit easier, and like just conversion rate and translation rate from the first interview to the second, from the second to the third interview, it was, I think, progressing. So from there, I think it is really important at the beginning that having that kind of a practical certification, it would give you an edge over the competition.
Yep. Thank you for clarification. And actually, I was also interested in this certification, FMVA, and many people actually in Uzbekistan actually pursuing this certification. And it was, I also wanted to understand the reason why you decided to get another certification after finishing MBA. What was the reason pursuing FMVA certification, even finishing MBA?
Again, like just in MBA, it's a 2 years journey, right? It's a 2 years journey, and what you learn is actually you learn a lot of valuable, for example, friendship, valuable, like just a friendship for your like just a long journey, and also you will learn a lot of like just cases, different kind of cases. But since it's a 2 years, all of your knowledge you need to brush up. You need to brush up. You need to constantly kind of brush up, and you have to have this kind of a practical problem solving kind of a cases and solutions with the Excel, with the SQL, like with using the Python, like just at that time, just keep in mind that at that time there was no AI, there was no any kind of help for us to just instantly kind of summarizing everything in one place so that like just you can pursue something, or you can instantly know what is the like correct way to have the kind of best knowledge, right? So from that perspective, even if let's say MBA, you learn, but during these 2 years, since it's a long time period, it's kind of difficult to keep fresh memory. So you need this kind of a short period of the certifications, maybe more practical than MBA, like just instead of let's say giving the theory and cases, just the problem and solving cases with the like more like with the focus on the like financial modeling. So from that perspective, it will give you a kind of a refreshed memory and refreshed kind of a practical knowledge, so that then you can basically translate your practical knowledge into the kind of into the like a job basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. Then certifications, then we can say have in general two types of value. First of all, it can help with your resume, and secondly, it can help you to brush upon your knowledge, because you may forget after your studies. and you should
Yeah.
maybe go to certifications and revise what you have learned during your studies. And regarding MBA, I understood why you decided to pursue education in Japan, because you said it's because of scholarship and also your friends, you're studying there. Why? But the question is, why MBA? Why not maybe Masters of Finance or Economics, more quantitative field, especially when you're good at math? What could be the reason? Or was it requirements by, I don't know, from your job, or what could be the reason?
No, there was no requirement. Well, like there was no requirement basically. Like just actually the one at that time, like just when I applied, like just MBA is actually again like just more practical compared to, for example, science or compared to like just economics. MBA, like just if someone is like just thinking about considering kind of going for the MBA, I would suggest maybe to go to the like just top 100, like just top 100 schools in the world, like if they can, of course, like just if they can kind of try, because what it can give you is actually like just again like lifelong friendships, like the MBA, like just MBA graduates, for example, I still have my friends working in the all around the world and in Japan, in Tokyo as well, in the big companies, like just big fours, like investment companies, like just all of these kind of Amazon and FANG and everywhere, like just because it's like you will be with a group of people much smarter than yourself, and you will have a kind of a best time of your life within kind of a, let's say 1 year, 2 years, depending on the kind of your MBA. And you will basically do a lot of activities and do a lot of like cases, because MBA usually it has a lot of like a practical cases that you can, for example, they will give you I don't know, like just for example, they will give you $100 million, just assuming that it's just assumption. They'll give you $100 million and you have to basically spend 3 companies. And that 3 companies, like just you will have the data, you will have the financials, you will have all the kind of all the data, and in the end, like just they already have the answers within themselves. You just have to kind of learn and like just study with your friends and basically come up with the financial model. Which company will, let's say, will succeed in 10 years? So based on that, there is no right or wrong answer, but you have to come up with your friends that kind of the answer, that coming up with the assumptions and communicating those assumptions is the key. So that's why in terms of practicality and in terms of like just having the right people, having the right kind of connections and the friends, I would suggest, I think MBA, like just especially in finance, would be really critical if you want to pursue in investment bank, if you want to pursue in the kind of a big companies like a Big Force or FANG. Just I think it would make more sense, like just hire from the MBAs for them as well, because MBAs are usually kind of a generalists. They're not specialized with just one field. For example, economics, or just let's say physics or science, right? MBA usually could be the people in the future, like a CEO, like since they are generalists, like they will study kind of not just the finance, but they will study finance, economics, operations, like just the supply chain, or like just the HR, marketing, right? Like just all of those like departments in the company. So meaning you will have the better business acumen to connect the dots when you go to the different, let's say, the company, when you pursue the company. I think you will have a better chance to be a CEO, like just if you are in the right track, if you are in the kind of a right track with any company, because you will have the kind of that kind of a knowledge that to connect the dots across the chains. That I think that would be my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I also heard almost the same type of reasons from other finance professionals when I asked them the reason why they decided to pursue MBA. And I feel like MBA has become gold standard for finance industry too. Or maybe I'm wrong, but when I try to interview people, most of them have MBA background and they're successful in finance career. Maybe MBA would be great choice if people are pursuing finance, maybe, or maybe it's attracted to the CEO, as you said.
That is true, but I would also like argue that in the case of, for example, in our case, since we are kind of going just going out from Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan is kind of one of the countries. It's kind of difficult to get hired directly, right? For example, I wouldn't stand a chance in the competition, for example, to get hired directly in Japan or in the United States or in UK directly. It would be very, very difficult. So from that perspective, I think a lot of people, usually what they do, they first apply for the MBA or like graduate schools just to go to that country first, to study the culture, to study the people and have some connections, then apply to the kind of a job. I think that would be kind of a one, I would say like just one supporting function in the middle. So that could be also the case. If, of course, like just if you are, like just if you already, I don't know, like just if you are born in the already developing country like Japan or Europe or United States or Canada. I have friends, for example, they were born in Canada and they just got directly hired in Canada for the investment bank. And so basically they worked and they just progressed their careers for like just 5 years, 10 years, had the best time of their life, have the kind of a best experience and best like just career, basically had a lot of a good amount of money. So I think it could work both ways, but for the people who are from Uzbekistan, I think at least the people who I know, that they usually use this kind of as a supporting function, just to go to that country first, have the culture exposure and have the connections, and then move to the kind of a job.
So then we can say another reason would be relocated to another country so that you can have better job prospects and you work maybe in better company or maybe large fund company. And before I get into like job application process, I noticed that you're following the path of FPA, and why you decided to choose FPA among other finance, I don't know, industries or paths. It can be audit or accounting. And why exactly FPA? Maybe some people might want to pursue this in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I'm interested in the FP&A, actually, it's like, again, like just that ability to drive just imagine you're not a CEO, you're not a marketing guy, or you're not an operations, but you're just an FP&A, right? But the FP&A function as a function is actually, I really like that kind of exposure of the FP&A. For example, the ability to drive the strategic decisions and influence the P&L. That's the kind of a function of the FP&A. For example, you will have the chance to work directly with the CEO, with the CFO, with a marketing, head of the marketing, head of the operations, all of them together. And only you mostly have all the visibility across the board, in the P&L. So I think you will have a better chance to get an insight and basically communicate that insight to the right stakeholder. And you will have best visibility among all the kind of other functions. So that's why it is really, I really like that. And I enjoyed that and I enjoyed like just working with the cross functions departments and kind of having the like just in the middle of the maybe helping that kind of a decision making. So you don't decide because FP&A usually it rarely decide because FP&A is not a final kind of a decision maker, right? Final decision maker always will be basically your stakeholder, whether CEO or head of the marketing or head of the let's say operations, because those guys in the end will be liable for example, decision they made. For example, recently I can give one example that how I kind of created value and how I really enjoyed that, right? For example, here, I just recently joined this startup, Rocket Now. It's a food delivery app in Japan. And then basically, it was part of the kind of a coupon in South Korea, right? It's a kind of a subsidiary of the coupon. And it is basically SoftBank and Coupang, they just invested like $200 million in Japan to kind of expand across the Japan. So one task or activity that I worked on recently, for example, my manager, the CFO, they just asked me like, let's dive deep into this, like just merchant commissions, right? So he just wanted to kind of to explore if there isn't any opportunity or any optimization in the merchant commissions. So merchant commissions, basically, it is like, since we are the kind of a food delivery app, right? We basically charge the merchants the discounts, right? Like just, for example, let's just say like 10%, 20%. We charge the merchants, restaurants, let's say 20% discount, right? And after that charging, actually, our value will be to bring the customer to them. So we will bring the customer to them, and our delivery partner, for example, deliver the food from the merchant to the customer, right? And from there, we also actually, in order to attract more merchants, more kind of restaurants, we actually provide them commissions, discounts. Basically, instead of charging them 20%, of the volume, we will just charge them, let's say, we tell them, we will charge you only 10%. Please come to us and just put your, like just food and different kind of selection into our app. And he will say yes, right? For example, when we go to Burger King or McDonald's, we'll say, since it's big guys, right? Hey, like just instead of charging like everyone else in the competition, instead of charging the 20%, we'll charge you 15%. Please come to us. And they will say yes, for example. And if they say yes, and then they will have a 15% that's overall kind of charge, right? But we gave them that 5% discount. But I found out that like once basically it's a time bound, like just that 5%, it can basically go, let's say, like just 20% again after 6 months based on the contract, right? So meaning like just recently, I think for Q4, we just forecasted like overall like 15% commission discounts overall. But in reality, because of that time bound, our data suggested that our commission discounts is not actually 15%, it's just a 10% right now. Because of the time bound is already expired, a lot of merchants, now we will have a 10% instead of 15% for the Q4. That 5% of the entire volume is actually a huge amount of money. So then instead of just coming up with this insight, just the actuals and just the insight, we just have a 5% budget or like buffer right now and telling to the CFO, I just came up with a more strategic value. Like I just told him like, hey, like, okay, this is the kind of a 5%, the buffer and budget we have right now. So what we can do, one, we can basically keep it as a 15% as it is right now and chase even much bigger guys like KFC or Burger King or anyone, like just bigger guys, in order to kind of offer them more in order to join to our selection, right? It will give us more, I think, the expansion within our kind of company. This is one. Second, we can basically reallocate this budget into the kind of marketing. For example, we can reallocate it to the marketing, so that I think if we allocate this like 5%, it can give us, let's say, X% of the like a customers boost. And the third is basically kind of we can say that 5%. Actually, like just now, since we have a 5% more buffer, we can actually expand new geolocations, Nagoya, or like just a different. Now this is a kind of open budget for you, and he really kind of appreciated that suggestion and value, even though like he's not going to make decision just right away, but he actually liked, rather than just giving that 5%. This is a 5% buffer we have, right? He actually liked that suggestions and value that we had. So that's why, like, coming up with this kind of just additional little bit, like, do your research, do your homework, and come up with a kind of a little bit additional kind of how you can basically drive the value. What is the value of yourself, and what is the, like, how you are kind of connecting the dots, how that CFO, like if you were a CFO or CEO, what would you do with this free up 5% budget, right? So in that kind of situations, you should always kind of think about, like, if you understand the P&L and if you have a business acumen, like, just you will know that's how that will touch into the different line items of the P&L and how it will help to the company to basically grow faster, or basically grow exponentially, or like maybe grow maybe horizontally or vertically, like just whichever this kind of a strategic decision makings, it will kind of help. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the detailed answer. And if we were to summarize this, then we can say FP&A is a way to create value to the organization by analyzing the P&L and looking at the way how revenue is generated, and if we can increase the revenue or maybe decrease the cost based on the analysis. And also it's I feel like it's an intersection between different departments, as you said, like marketing, or so that you can have people from marketing department or other departments that you're talking to. And it's a human facing role. Is that true, right?
That is true. Yeah, that is true. And it is like just like you are interconnected with all the departments. And just to kind of compare, like just FP&A, it's not a controller. It's not a controllership, or it's not an accountant. And it's not a kind of so you should always understand it's not an audit, right? FP&A is always a partner. Like just, so you are not a police that's always kind of checking them and kind of trying to stick to the budget or say some stuff, but you should be a partner. You should always kind of try to outside of the box and try to have the value for the team, for the kind of different kind of departments. If it's a marketing, come up with the kind of different scenarios, come up with a different for example, cases that how you can basically branch out their initiatives, right? Or if it's in operations, come up with the ideas how to optimize their cost, with coming up with the kind of different models. Or if it is let's say, if it is this HR, just come up with the ideas or kind of different kind of scenarios within your limited, let's say, budget, like how you guys kind of can simulate into the headcount or into their kind of overall hiring planning. So that's why it is always like a partner, not a police, but a partner. Just try to have a best possible kind of a partnership with your stakeholder. Because I will always kind of see some people, they will get mistaken on like just saying like FP&A, it's like a pure like just accounting, or or maybe it could be just a controller. No, it's not. For example, even if, let's say, we set the targets, we set the budgets for them, but we set it in a way that it is both like just achievable, because like just talking to the teams and like just after having their kind of arguments and assumptions into the like just into the account, we set the targets which is achievable but yet ambitious. Achievable yet ambitious. So you have to find that balance. Like just always kind of raise the bar. Always raise the bar. Always raise the bar. That would be, I think, your perfect value.
Yeah, thank you for the great explanation. And if we talk about from now on, maybe job application process, how it looks like in Japan. So my first question is, how did you get into KPMG Japan? You said you applied to 100 different companies and you ended up working in KPMG, which is one of the prestigious companies, I can say, part of Big Four. Can you tell us about the initial job process after MBA and how was it, especially when it comes to preparation and interview? That would be, I think, great help. And also, what were the requirements for the job?
Yeah, of course. I think I would say maybe for the sake of time, like just also like maybe I would kind of try to give an example with maybe Amazon. I think Amazon would be a best perfect example of the like a job application as well as the preparation. Like Amazon, for example, like I like before, like just for example, I think before I start, anyone who actually have never worked in the like Amazon or like FANG, like just the companies, I would suggest best of my possibilities, like just I would suggest to apply and get a job, like if you can, like just I think Amazon or FANG companies, it was one of the best kind of schools that and also the companies that you can get a best experience possible. And because of your experience, other companies, for example, such as right now, it's a startup, the Rocket Now, the Coupang's Rocket Now, they value the Amazon's experience more than any other, let's say, MBA or any other certification possible. Because the reason is actually Amazon, their like interview process is kind of very unique. First of all, like when you like just are applying for the Amazon, or in general in Japan, for example, let's just say in Japan, you're applying to any companies, right? I would suggest first of all, like just try to find the right connection, because applying through the like the internal system or LinkedIn, like usually it takes a lot of time. Maybe you get lucky just to get picked up, your resume get picked up by some like a moderator or some sort of like a AI chat, and that it will be kind of given to the actual human being in the recruiter, and he will kind of ask you an interview, right? But in reality, like especially in Japan, I think having the right connection to find the right decision maker, it's really important. So that's why in early on in my career in Japan, I really wanted to kind of to have a bigger like just a network in my LinkedIn. I always kind of tried to go to the different kind of sessions, the recruiting sessions, like just always meet with the recruiters, with the internal recruiters as well as the external recruiters. So it just happened that I knew a guy, like just from my LinkedIn, that he actually introduced me to the actual internal like just recruiter in Amazon, at Amazon. So then he just introduced me and he said like just he's interested to apply for the Amazon, and I think he's a great candidate. And from then on, I just directly started kind of talking to the internal recruiter. So we had a quick call. After quick call, basically he just put me into the like a first interview with the hiring manager. It was basically in my first like a hiring manager interview, it was mostly, I think, like just about the overall kind of a role fit, like just how in this role, for example, when I applied for this, like how you basically fit for this role. He, I mean, like just he checked my abilities in the kind of overall like a business acumen, like just how I can read the P&L, how I can kind of create the value for them, and all of this, like just Excel, SQL, everything, like just he checked within the 45 minutes basically. And also he also checked the personalities, like for example, in different kind of scenarios, what would you do in this kind of situations and these kind of situations, right? Once he checked, then he basically moved on to the loop interview. We call it, like in Amazon, usually there is a loop interview. Loop interview means you have to talk to the 5 different people from the different departments. Basically, they will be your stakeholders. So one from marketing, one from, for example, product, one from like just the paid services, one from the finance, and one from the kind of another like HR, for example. And 5 of those like loop interviews, if you prepare the Amazon with the right way, basically like just always kind of try to prepare with their principles, like Amazon principles. And I probably came up with maybe 100 different answers, 100 different kind of like examples that what I did in my previous jobs. For example, Bitcoin.com, what I did in my previous jobs, like oil, like just that helped in different kind of situations. Of course, right now, maybe with the help of AI, you can prepare yourself a much better way. Just try to have that kind of always use the AI, always use this kind of a chat box, right? Try to please like prepare me, for example, this different kind of scenarios and based on your own experience, and always come up with the bullet points, right? Then like just you once you get prepared, those the loop interviewers basically they will decide like just whether thumbs up or thumbs down, like just you are the like a good hire or not, right? If 5 of those like just loop interviews, if 3 of them they will say hire, probably you will get hired, like just most of the time. So that is the how usually works the process at Amazon. And Amazon is probably, I heard, like just it's the hardest to get in, like just because of the kind of a different kind of aspects of the overall kind of hiring process. But once you get in, it is actually great place to learn. Great place, like just especially to learn the Excel, SQL, like just a SQL, the Python, and like just having the exposure in different kind of like visualization tools like the Tableau and dashboards. So I think that was and also plus I think it's one of the best like American maybe culture that you can get exposure. Even if it's in Japan, all of my interactions were in English. Like just even if let's say I can speak Japanese, but almost like 98% of my interactions were in English. So yeah, so from that perspective, I think I would never be I was picturing myself to work at Amazon like more than 4 years, 5 years. I don't know, like, but it just happened that this startup came and just they just offered a great deal with a great stake. So that's why, just for the sake of my family, for the sake of to speed up overall what I want to kind of achieve, I just accepted this offer, and then now I'm with this Rocket now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And when, let's say, there might be someone who wants to apply to companies like Amazon, except finding connections inside the company, what are the tips that you can share that might be helpful for them to prepare for such kind of jobs, not only Amazon, especially in Japan?
Yeah, especially Japan, I would say like Amazon or any other company, because I also know, like, just even in my company at Amazon, or like just Rocket Now or Bitcoin.com, basically we are using these like a third-party tools to check the like a resume. For example, whoever is applying, we actually put the guardrails. We put all those like filters, basically based on that requirements. The AI, the tools will check automatically whether you are qualified or not, just for the first interview, like with the HR. So that's why I really suggest whoever wants to apply, like if they don't have the kind of a right connection, directly apply to that like a recruiter. Just try to make it suitable for that specific company, your resume. Like just if your resume, for example, it's written, let's say it's a general resume that's based on your like experience, try to make it more suitable for that specific company. If it's Amazon, try to make it suitable based on the Amazon principles. Like based on the Amazon principles, that's how you can help, it can be kind of a more done. And with the help of the AI tools right now, I think you can do that. You can just create the resume, and you can basically design your resume based on the which suits best for that specific company. So because always all of your kind of examples, your cases should be kind of a more tailored and designed for that kind of a specific the company that you are applying for. So that's why I would suggest for that one. And also, if you know, like you should always kind of try to read the requirements of the job description, right? And try to kind of match that job description for your resume. Always kind of try to have a kind of a more nuanced match, so that like your resume will be picked up to those like a third-party kind of tools. And once it's picked up, basically it will go to the HR, internal recruiter, and internal recruiter will reach out to you like for the first maybe casual interview, just over the phone, maybe over the like a Zoom call. And then from there, it's basically your own, I would say, luck, your own preparation, like just that you have to basically make sure that you are prepared enough for, and you know that company's business, you know that company's what they are requiring from you, and based on the job description kind of requirements, you can basically tailor your even answers and replies for them, and just basically match your own experience for them, that how you can basically bring the value to their table. Yeah, that's I would suggest.
Yeah, thank you for your advice. And you have worked in multiple organizations in terms of size and maybe culture. I would like to know the two differences basically here. The first difference between Japanese and Uzbek culture in terms of working, especially. And second, what was the difference between working at Amazon and other companies that you worked at? That would be maybe great thing to discuss too. Thank you.
I see. Yeah, first of all, I think comparing Uzbek companies and then international companies, I think there is a huge difference. Like at Uzbek companies, I think usually what I mean, it's not a bad thing or good thing. Like just usually at Uzbek companies, I always see, like just for example, in my JKD company, like just the company I worked for, the people always kind of try to work only for their departments for that specific job. They didn't kind of, if you ask them like just extra additional kind of question to kind of help more, they will always kind of try to back down a little bit, like just that they will say like, no, it's not my job, or it's not my responsibility, and that kind of stuff. Like they're not kind of open for that kind of a further discussions. maybe it's just maybe culture to this specific company. Maybe it depends on the kind of overall company wise like a culture. But I And I always kind of, for example, here in Amazon or any other like just a company, if at Amazon, like just if someone is like just writing you a Slack message or email, usually the response is like response rate is almost 100%, and the speed is also very high. Like probably like just 5 to 10 minutes, you will get any replies within the 5 to 10 minutes, right? If they know the answer. It is the best way, like just working culture, like just engage with the people. And also in Uzbekistan, probably it's a lot of still like just the top down, still a lot of top down. Always the kind of if you are older guy and with the kind of authority with some manager, like a skill set, like just a skill set, they will always kind of dictate how the overall kind of culture goes or how the overall the meeting goes, right? Regardless of your performance or regardless of your ideas. I mean, most of the time, maybe some of the new companies, the startups are different right now. And I think they are adapting to that kind of a international culture. For example, in Japan or in the Amazon or like just even right now, Rocket Now, I would say it's pretty flat. The authority level, it's very flat. Even if, let's say, as an analyst, you can speak up and you can step up, like just if you know the answer, if you have the data, even to the CEO, like just to the CEO, you can easily kind of speak up and just to say, yeah, this because of this, like it happened like this, or like just because of this, like just I think the assumption will be like this, and they will listen. That's a great thing. Like just they will listen. They will never say any other stuff. Like just they will always listen, and they will always kind of try to be respectful, regardless of your title, regardless of your the previous performance, right? That's why like flatness and speed and responsiveness and proactiveness, it makes your work more efficient, and you always want to work. You always want to work, and you will learn a lot by this kind of speed, because since the speed is very high, your learning kind of curve will be like just exponential. And since if you're an ambitious guy, you try to kind of learn more faster and faster, and your overall kind of a skill and also the scope of your role also will expand so quickly, so fast. If compared to, for example, Uzbekistan, I found it like just very hard to increase your scope, like just to step up, to increase your scope. That was always kind of a challenge for me. I always wanted to kind of try to do more and try to give the kind of different kind of ideas. But from their side, for example, from your manager, it's like there is not much kind of engagement, that they're not gonna like grow you, they're not gonna develop you, and they're not gonna probably like just raise the bar high enough that you can grow faster. So maybe it's just a matter of the experience, matter of the different kind of like a culture. So yeah, from that perspective, I would say working in the like a FANG companies or international companies, it will definitely like just help you a lot in terms of your like a learning curve. If you really want to, for example, learn fast, quick, progress your career so fast, definitely I think going in and trying to apply for these like companies like Amazon, Facebook, or Google, like, and just to get a experience there for a couple of years, it would make, I think, a lot of benefit.
Oh yeah, thank you for your answer. And I also noted a lot of differences when it comes to culture, but I feel like there is also one difference. And I live in South Korea, and you live in Japan. But you know, in South Korea, when someone who's older than you, or maybe someone who might be in a higher position, it can be a university professor too, makes a mistake, or in most cases, you cannot speak up their mistakes, their faults. You have to always respect them. But I noticed this thing is kind of different in Japan because you're allowed to speak to CEO and maybe
Ah,
tell
ah,
some
yeah, yeah,
advice.
yeah. Maybe it's not. You're right. Actually, like just from that perspective, maybe South Korean culture also could be kind of a somewhat similar to Uzbekistan, like more like a top down, more like a top down. Even right now, It's a part of the South Korean company, the entity, the Rocket Now. I can feel that. Like just there is sometimes like just there's an aspects of the top down. Yeah, basically you have to do this, that's it, like right, like, but the Amazon probably was the kind of Amazon or bitcoin.com was the exception because it was American company and all of those like CEOs were American, so maybe that is why that culture is different, the culture is totally different, but even in that sense, like just even if it was in Japan, like Japan also usually traditional Japanese companies, I think tend to be more top down rather than being flat. I think they will go with the kind of top down. But if even if in Japan, those kind of a big companies like FANG companies or American companies, they actually keep their flat culture in Japan. And Japanese people actually will adopt to that like a flat culture. So that's why I think having the right culture is very important, and learning in the right culture also is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for clarification. And let me ask my last question, then we may let other people ask questions if they have any questions left, maybe one or two. My last question is, I usually ask this from other speakers too. If, let's say, hypothetically, of course, you were 20 years old again, what would you do differently?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then I always like just hear from the different kind of podcasts, like for example, yeah, Tim Ferriss or like any other ones. They usually ask these questions, right? But yeah, yeah, I think in my case, yeah, first of all, I would love that. I would love that, so maybe to go back and just try to suggest anything like just to my other half, right? Um, but I think my first answer would be like just I wouldn't change much. I wouldn't change much because the reason I wouldn't change much, it's actually the struggles, the life, and the overall kind of expectations and experiences that we have along the way. It will shape us, right? It will shape us for the future. It will shape us for the future. And I really kind of like right now that where I am, and then like living with my family in Japan, in Tokyo, in the center of the kind of a like a country, and like just we have a good kind of a life, and I have a good career. At least like just I'm satisfied for now. And from that perspective, I think like just all of those like just struggles. I mean, just stepping up from the Uzbekistan, it was very hard. It was very difficult, right? But that kind of struggles actually built my next kind of a career, because that kind of hunger, or like just having that kind of hunger or ambition, like just it made me work more compared to other people. So working hard and just having always that kind of a hunger inside of yourself makes you basically beat the competition, like just in your later stages. So that's why I think I wouldn't change much from that perspective. But at the same time, my second answer would be like I always actually wanted kind of maybe to try myself in the IT world as well, like just IT world. I always wanted, even though right now, partially, I'm also using the SQL and Python, like just for this, like a data extractions or writing the scripts. But at the same time, I always wanted kind of maybe to build the applications, or to build the kind of any kind of games or stuff like just from the scratch. I did that in my first and second year in university in information technologies, but and later on it's kind of fade away. And later on, actually, the information technologies or IT or like just AI right now, it became actually so huge, right? And yeah, from that perspective, I think I would tell myself like, just to go with this path, to like just try to have a IT related kind of a classes and maybe study in the United States and try to kind of create an app. Basically, try to create anything, like just any app. Try to have a like just experiment with. Maybe you might get lucky. You might get lucky. Just you will create a kind of app that will kind of basically help a lot of people. And while doing so, like just you will be also basically benefit out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And we can say, as Steve Jobs said, you can only connect dots looking backwards. So we would never know
Yeah,
where would it be if we change it, seeing that happened in the past. And let me
that's true.
ask two questions from the audience they have written to the channel, and then we
Sure.
can finish the session. The first question is also kind of interesting to me. Being in the finance industry both before and during AI era, what impact do you think AI now has on the roles of financial analysts, planning, and forecasting? And is it really leaving nothing to do for junior financial analysts? Basically, impact of AI on the finance industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I would also worry if I was a new joiner at the moment, to be honest. Like just at the moment, for the new joiners, even though there is some space, I think it's becoming like literally like impossible to get in as a new joiner directly from the university, right? I think the AI and it's not leaving a lot of, to be honest, a lot of work already. Like just right now in my team, like just we have right now like just 5 people. But like just if you think about it, like just even at Amazon, like just they, because of this AI, they used to impose us. They used to basically push us and like force us to cut the like junior analysts every year at least like just a 5%. Recently, it actually increased to 10%. So basically, you have to be like 10% productive every year versus the revenue growth. So meaning is like just now, if it's becoming a trend, what I would see is actually it's going to be super tough for the new joiners, especially new kind of financial analysts, like a new financial analysts, to get a job, because most of the like a job that required to do like from the financial analyst, like for example cleaning up the data or extracting the data from somewhere and just coming up with that basically data and dashboards, it's just simply done by AI in a matter of the seconds, in a matter of the minutes, right? So even if, let's say, I am a right now manager and principal here, sometimes I can also do myself without even bothering my kind of reportees, like just extracting some of those like data, because it's very easy to write some maybe prompt and SQL and just get the data and just try to have a quick insight based on the AI, just to see, right? But having said that, sometimes actually the analysts like might surprise you, like because AI is still hallucinating a lot, like just instead of like giving you a let's say proper insight based on the like experience or based on the company like performance, it is actually giving the what you want to see. Like it's giving the answer to what you want to see. So it's not perfect yet. But probably it's getting better and better, like just every day and every year. It's not perfect yet, so that's why there is still, I think, a lot of need for the like FP&A and financial analysts, but accounting and that kind of, I think the jobs entry level, for example, data analysts probably would have a hard time to get a job maybe in 5 years or 10 years. But I think financial analysts, if they can still connect the dots, not just the data, not just the historical performance, but connect the dots and try to have that kind of a best insight out of all of these, like just the possibilities and out of the assumptions, and try to kind of give the value. I think those people still needed. They will be valuable, like for the time being, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. And I also noticed that when I worked as an M&A analyst, that's also a Japanese company, and most of the things that I do on Excel can easily be automated because it's a repetitive task, which AI can learn based on the training. So that might be unfortunately true that many people may find it hard to get their first job, first step in the finance career, especially in the area where AI can automate. So
Yeah.
it can be less human facing. So let me ask the second question, which is related to Japan, actually.
Yeah.
How important being proficient in Japanese if you want to work in international company in Japan, such as Big Four Consulting or MBB or investment banking?
Yeah. For Big Four, it is definitely important. Like for Big Four, at least like from the speaking perspective, you have to be proficient. Like just you have to be proficient, like just a very professional. But for investment bank, I think it depends on the roles and departments. So I would say it's 50-50. Like just I have friends who are working in investment bank right now that they don't know Japanese at all. Like basically they cannot speak even a word, but they are still working in the, for example, selling the corporate bonds or selling the stocks. So, or even the valuations analysts. So they don't have any problem with that. So investment bank, I think 50-50. Like, of course, like the accounting or administrative tasks still requires, I think, Japanese. And Amazon or like a FANG, like Google, Facebook, I would say it's also kind of a 80-20, like 80% you don't require, like you don't need a Japanese. Basically with your English, I think you can get along. But traditional Japanese companies or any other kind of a new startups or any other, I think any companies, like basically they require 100% Japanese. So you at least you have to speak. You have to speak. So you have to basically you can speak with well. Maybe you don't have to read or you don't have to basically kind of write very fluently, but at least like just if you can speak and if you can get along with the speaking, I think that would be sufficient.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference then in South Korea because almost in any company, even if it's international, you should be really proficient in Korean. So I think Japan may be more international, especially when it comes to number of foreigners. There are more foreigners in Japan. Maybe that would be the reason. And I think for now that's all. Other questions are left, but maybe they can reach out to you through LinkedIn or in other way because of the time limit. It's been almost 1 hour and 30 minutes. So thank you, Ryosuke, for your time, and hope everyone, those who are going to listen or who are listening or who listened, will find it really useful because it's relevant when it comes to the topic of working in Japan or any other international companies in Japan or other part of the world. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much again. And then again, as a final word, like I just want to say, I hope it's kind of helpful for the new students or like any graduates or anyone like just who listened right now. And just the final words, just embrace the technology, embrace the AI, and understand the business and business acumen, and always prioritize the impact over activity. That's it.
everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you next episode.